and pray with you all. And then, of course, for those who need to replay, they'll get the prayer as well. Just because I believe in showing up. And if I do have to say anything, let that be a word. Show up. No matter what's going on, no matter what you're going through, show up. If God made you a promise, if God gave you something, no matter what it feels like, just show up, be present, because you never know what's going to happen when you step into the physical room. You never know what's going to happen when you step into the spiritual room. Just show up and be your authentic, genuine self. Liberty was just sharing some of the blessings that God was doing in her life and how she's in new spaces and places. And it's a new world, you know, and I was sharing as well some of my experience working in entertainment, and in those spaces, they don't talk like you, they don't look like you, they don't act like you. They can say and do things sometimes that could throw you off. But if you are rooted and grounded in your faith and what you believe, when you show up, you are showing up as the difference maker. You are showing up as the answer to their problem. You might not know it. You might not wake up and say, I'm going to show up and be an answer today. You don't know that. You just show up, and you never know how God is going to use you as a conduit. I will share this as well. Um, as I've been declaring that we've been in the pure gold season, God has been giving me so much revelation that I'm still trying to process. And so today, again, we're just talking, and I'll be praying and we'll get off. But understanding the pure gold season, everybody can't go with you. And God is showing me that. And I'm not even referring to just people who are your friends or family. That could be people you grew up in ministry with, that you worked alongside. It could be people, you know, on Sundays who you gather, whatever, here, wherever. Everybody cannot go, because what I had to realize is we can decree and declare that this is the season we're in. But if you don't acquiesce to the season will be the season with or without you. And so if you don't adjust, you have work to do too. It's a constant cycle of learning, unlearning, and relearning. If you do not adjust, the season will go on without you. The winter is going to be cold, whether you wear your fur coat or not. The summer is going to be hot, whether you wear your shorts and tank top or not. It is not acquiescing to you in that moment. You have to understand the divine timetable, the prophetic word of the Lord, and make the adjustments. And if you make those adjustments and your friends and family and colleagues and people in ministry start looking at you different because they want to keep things the way it's always been, that is your tell-all sign to let it go. I made a post a couple days ago, or maybe it was a week ago at this point, where God was showing me how the way I pray, the way I teach, the way I operate, I've always been the same. And what I used to do in the local church, where some people would then feel away and reject me, the same thing is what I'm doing, but now God is doing it on an international level, and I'm getting international invitations. And what God was showing me was local rejection is your tell-all sign and invitation to international. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It means they can't handle you, and you're bigger than your environment. And so if you're bigger than that environment, then start looking for bigger opportunities. So even Liberty, like what you were sharing, you're called to a bigger environment. And I think, and I'll just throw this out here for anybody for that matter, who might be feeling like there's got to be more. Why is just the way we've always been doing things irritating me? Why does this keep happening? Every time I do this, this pops up. Every time this happens, it's because you're outgrowing your environment, and it's okay. It's okay. You're bigger than you think you are, and you're bigger than where you've been. The rejection of local is the divine announcement of international. Now, understand that that can look different. We are in a world of AI and technology. It could mean go live. It can mean, because the more you do that, you'll get an international invitation. And literally, like I'm saying to you all, everything I've been doing on a local level, yes, it hurt. Yes, there were tears. Yes, there were things. God keeps elevating me on an international level. And it just let me know nothing's wrong with me. It just means I'm called to bigger. And so embrace that, y'all. And as I said earlier, show up. When you get invited to new rooms and you don't necessarily know what to say, still show up, smile, wave, interact, because God wants to use you. And I'm not saying going to these rooms, you have to preach. No, your life is a testimony. There was 2 or 3 days I took off of work. And when I got back to work, all of the staff said, Levi, the school has been different without you. I don't preach in that school. All I do is do my job and go home like everybody else. But I guess apparently I walk in with an energy. I walk in with a light. I walk in, and literally one of my coworkers said to me, she goes, you know what? I looked at your page and she said, you preach for real. I was like, yeah. And she was like, no. You preach for real, for real. I'm like, I guess so. I don't know what you mean. She said, no, I watched one of your videos at home and I got convicted because she said, I'm at school with you and I joke with you and play with you. And I really had to realize that was a man of God. And I said, I appreciate the respect, but you can still joke and play. Like, I'm not like that. But even in that moment, we're dispelling this, you're up here, you're down here. No, we are all human beings. We all have an assignment. We all can love on people and be our authentic self. You let God do what he's going to do. So if I have to give a word for today, because I'm going to pray, and for those that just came on, as I stated, I'm really not feeling well, but I still want to show up for you and pray with you. But that's the word today, show up. If God made you a promise, show up. I don't care if your money's acting funny. Yes, use wisdom, but show up. I don't care what it feels like, what it looks like. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. So if you're feeling weak emotionally, still show up and just expose it, just like I'm doing. I don't feel good right now, but I'm here. I don't know what God's doing with everything, but I'm here. As much as I can hear, there's still things I don't know, but I'm going to show up. If you have a prayer schedule, show up to your personal prayer schedule. I don't care what it looks like. If you have a weight loss routine, show up for your routine. If you have a budgeting plan, show up for your plan. Because in this pure gold season, if you don't show up, you're going to miss the gold. What is the gold? Wisdom nuggets of gold, opportunities of gold, friendships of gold, relationships of gold. And do not be surprised if it's outside of the church. There is a whole world of people that are not coming to church. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with the Lord's church. It's just people are tired of this mess that's going on. And it's sickening. It's disgusting. It can be low-key depressing if you dwell on it too long, but it doesn't mean anything's wrong with God. And as I shared in the video last week, God already knew this stuff would happen. There is nothing, and I need y'all to hear me with that. There is nothing that is happening within the church, within our world, that is catching God by surprise. He already spoke to it. The Bible says they will be lovers of themselves. They will have greed. They will have arrogance, cockiness. I did an interview the other day with, I think her name is Miss Moore. It starts with an S, but her name is Miss Moore. She has an online talk show. And she was asking me about community in church. And she asked me, what do I think some of the problem is? And I said, some of the problem is, I think the megachurch era and all of that has focused on the production of the Sunday service. And although the Sunday service is important, y'all know firsthand, I could really care less about the Sunday experience. Let me talk to you Monday through Saturday when your lights are getting cut off, when your feelings are being hurt, when you don't know what to do. I'd rather text you. And Sunday, honestly, we started as a prayer group. And for those that don't have a pastor or leader, it's like, hey, but even then we do it early enough to where if you want to log off, go watch somebody else, And I say that respectfully, but I'm just saying we put so much energy into the lights, the camera, the action, and the production of Sunday that we forgot the people. And I challenged them. I said, do you even know your members' favorite color? Do you even know when their birthday is? Do you even know their favorite food? Do you even know what's going on in their lives? With y'all who are on today, I can literally say something that I know about you that is genuine because I actually know. Not just a Sunday experience of give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. So I say all that to say, God is shifting the landscape of things. But I want to encourage your heart. Don't be discouraged. Yes, be disappointed in what this man-made church has become. You can be disappointed in that. But don't allow it to make you be disappointed in God, because God's word is still his word. He's not surprised, and he's about to shift you into different regions and spaces to show up as his voice, as his fingerprint, as his answer in the world. The goal is to come to church or a virtual gathering or a faith-based gathering to get instruction, to commune, to release your pain and realize you're not alone. Get the strength and direction you need to go back out into the world and do something significant. So nothing's wrong with God. Nothing's wrong with the Lord's church. There's nothing wrong with the kingdom. But could it be that God is allowing all these things to happen because they're happening? So he had to allow it. There is nothing that happens that he doesn't allow. So it's happening. He allowed it. And if he allowed it, your prayer should be, Lord, how do I show up in this dispensation? How do I show up in this time frame? How do I show up to be your voice on my job, in my family, wherever I'm at? And if I'm honest, in fact, me and my personal family, what's a term and I can't even think now, the immediate family have been having some really strong, necessary conversations. And I was laughing one day because I'm like, I feel like I'm a boot camp teacher to them. But it's because I'm not going to preach to the world and leave my family hanging. And so I'm challenging them really, really hard. Y'all think y'all seen me be hard? I gave them the business and I had to catch myself like, whoa. But they know it's all love. It wasn't nothing, like that. But in other words, just saying, why do you believe what you believe? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because the world is trying to attack God's people and make us not be credible sources. Our name is what we have. What we believe is what we have. And so again, I say all that to say, because I wasn't planning on doing anything today besides, like I said, pray. Show up. And in this pure gold season, understand, yes, family is your ministry. Yes, yes. In fact, that is the first ministry. Anybody will tell you that in Bible schools, the Bible, all that. Your family is your first ministry. So could it be that God has you in a season to focus on them? Then if it's your job, could it be that? Literally this past week, the reason why I'm not feeling well is because I was out in the rain, making sure our kids got into the building safe, got soaking wet. And then our kids had a couple of altercations where I had to review 3 days in a row security footage, 5-hour increments, 3-hour increments. And in the security camera room, you have all of the switches for all of our technologies, and the room has to remain cold. And so I now have a head cold trying to look at the cameras to make sure we have accurate information for our kids to be safe at the school. Then I had to have a powwow with the kids, telling the severity of getting in trouble, police getting involved, all these different things. My point of saying that is that's ministry. That's what God's got me doing. I got coworkers and people who are overwhelmed. And as I try to leave the room to give them respect, they're asking me to go in the room and pray with them. And these are strong people. I'm talking about strong people who don't have breakdowns and things of that sort. And God is having me to do that. And I'll be honest, it was stressing me out a little bit because I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to do my job and I'm overwhelmed and oh my gosh, but that's what God is calling me to do. So again, I say that to say to you all, wherever God has you, show up. If he has you interceding for your family, that's your ministry assignment. If he has you interceding for your coworker, that's your ministry assignment. If he's put you in a new job, a new territory, a new place, you're meeting new people, that is your assignment. But understand, I'm not saying that the assignment is always to preach to people. If you live this lifestyle, they're going to see it on you. They're going to see it on you. You are a fragrance. You carry an aroma. You have a scent. You might not know it because you're you. All you're going to see sometimes every day when you wake up is you're going to see the pain you're dealing with. You're going to see your frustration. You're going to see, I'm trying to hit this goal and I haven't hit that goal yet. You're going to see my kids are acting crazy. You're going to see my husband or wife is acting crazy. But that doesn't mean your ranking and position in God has changed. Whether you realize it or not, just show up. Because when you show up, and I preach this message, the enablement of God, you will be enabled to prophesy with your body language. You'll be able to look at someone and tell they need a hug, and you just give them a hug, and they're like, I never felt that before, and they're bawling in tears. You'll be able to show up and be enabled to just speak a compliment. Hey, girl, you look pretty. Hey, young man, you're a handsome young man. Hey, ma'am, you this, you that. You never know what your language in that divine moment can do to shift the narrative of somebody's life. Just show up. Yeah, you might be tired. You might not feel good, but show up. And I'm saying it and I can preach it because I'm doing it. As I said, and good morning to those that came in. I am not feeling good today at all. As I'm sitting here, my back is aching. I feel like I almost got COVID, but I took a test that said I don't. But I'm just saying, within reason, show up. Because you never know how God will use you when you're weak for his strength to prevail through you. Somebody's depending on you, and not just in the church. Somebody needs you, and not just in your faith-based community. You're enabled to go out in the world. That's why this group is different. This is like a virtual church, but it's not your traditional church. This is a place to, like the name says, get strategy to go back into the world. Your disappointments with what the church has become, they are valid. What you're sensing is real. What's getting on your nerves is real. It's real. And I validate you. You're not wrong. What you cannot do, though, is make it get you out of God's will. You do. That's why last week I flew to Houston, because there was a particular ministry that God said I need you to go to because I needed to get poured back into. And I went. That's why I had to pre-record last week. I wasn't feeling my best, but then also I was spiritually like, I need a moment. There's nowhere in Atlanta for me to go to. People in Atlanta say all the time, oh, there's this place. Not for me. It doesn't work for me. So I literally at the last minute got a flight. Like, I'm that serious about my faith and my spiritual well-being. Your spiritual health needs to be just as important as your mental health. Your spiritual health needs to be just as important as your physical health. When you go get physical checkups, you need spiritual checkups. You need that, because it can get disappointing when you have an apostolic ear and prophetic eyes and you can sense and see what's going on. And the majority seem to be dealing with the foolishness. And then the real ones are out here looking like, well, they ain't got all these numbers, so they must not be anointed. That is not true. Well, they don't have this platform, so they must not be anointed. Be fooled if you want to. Be fooled if you want to. I've told y'all before, and I'll say it again. I cannot tell you how many times I have people who have millions of followers who come to me privately, and I won't say who they are for the sake of integrity, because they know when I pray for them, God's going to show up, and I say that humbly. They know, and then they go back and act like nothing ever happened, and that's fine. It comes with the territory, y'all. It comes with the territory. And think about it. Jesus had his 12 disciples, and they shifted the world. Don't get caught up in numbers. All you need is you and one other person, or your 12, whatever it is. God does not need a nation of people. He does not. You can shift a nation. Jesus died on the cross, one person, and shifted nations. He shifted nations. He left his spirit with his disciples, his apostles, 12 of them. Judas lied, then whatever. Shifted nations. Don't get caught up in the lie and the facade. Show up. Whatever degree you have or don't have, show up. Whatever's going on in your life, show up. And just say whatever you got to say. I'm not feeling my best, but show up. Because again, his strength is made perfect in our weakness. God needs us to show up. And if you allow the disappointments of human beings to throw you off, then you are becoming another person out of divine alignment, because God has to use you. He has to use people. That's why I've told y'all this when it comes to prayer, spiritual warfare, and all these things. There is no spirit that is allowed in the earth realm unless it come through a human body. God needs your body. He needs your voice print. He needs your image and your likeness. That's why you're here. So no matter how many church people disappoint you, no matter how your coworkers disappoint you, no matter how your family or friends disappoint you, show up. But then also remember, as I said earlier, as we've been declaring the pure gold season, that everyone cannot go with you. What God has been showing me lately with the pure gold season, I think we initially were kind of looking at it as, oh, favor, access, blessings, all that good stuff, which it is that too. But it also means a greater level of responsibility. Think about it like this. If you make a certain amount of money, you are then qualified in a certain tax bracket. And they will tell you, if you make X, Y, and Z, and you have this level of influence, you probably shouldn't live in that neighborhood. Not because you're being bougie or cocky, but because the wrong people might gain access to you and try to steal everything you have and harm you because you've hit another level of status. So what I'm saying is, as well, with the pure gold season, God is shifting your tax bracket in the realm of the spirit and naturally. God is shifting your ranking. He's giving you more access to opportunities and things, and everyone that cannot go with you. Some family and people will not be able to go if they do not want to elevate and grow. And it doesn't mean you have to have an argument. Just bid them well. Bid them well. And know that when you go to that next level of authority, God's going to have people there to greet you. He's going to have a new group of friends and people to walk alongside you. It's just like getting a new job. You get a new job, you're going to have new coworkers. They're already there. You don't have to find them. They will find you because you showed up. When you go to a new country, you don't have to find people. The people of that country are already there. But you'll never meet them if you don't show up. So understand that whoever God is assigning to you in this particular season, they will meet you if you show up, but don't get caught up in the tears of what's been lost. Don't get caught up in the emotion of what hurt you. I had to check myself, y'all. If I'm honest, I still struggle a little bit with the church hurt that I've been through. God has healed me and I'm moving forward. But if I'm completely honest, every time I get ready to elevate, I get triggered in a moment and it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with that again because that's the only context I have. So it's the same with you in dating. Oh, I might not want to do that because it might trigger me. I might not want to do that. That's natural. But once you see it, identify it and do the work not to let it hold you back because that was that season. That was that season. And what God was telling me was, all the pain you've been through, the manipulation you've been through, all it did was manipulate you into greatness. And I'm probably going to write a book on that. I just gave out the title if I do it. Being manipulated into greatness. Every time I showed up and I was taken advantage of, it hurt me, but it built strength in me. I made a post I saw from Bernice King the other day. It said, it might have broke your heart, but it fixed your eyes. I'm going to say that again. It might have broken your heart, but it fixed your eyes. You had to go through it. You had to see it. This is why just like today, and again, for those just came in, we're more still having a conversation today about just showing up, being who God calls you to be, despite how you feel, despite what it looks like, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, every time I get ready to move to a new level, I'm triggered by something. I was like, ooh, but God reminds me, yeah, but remember, my strength was made perfect in that moment of being weak. And what was the lesson you learned in that? So now I'm at a greater place of setting boundaries. I saw an interview last night with Viola Davis, and she was talking about setting boundaries. And y'all have heard me talk about this before. When you go to these new jobs, when you enter these new relationships, when you enter this pure gold season and you meet new people because the old people couldn't handle it and go, set your boundaries immediately. Hey, y'all, I'm the friend that I might not go to every birthday party. I might not be able to do all this, but if you need me, I can be there, whether it be a prayer, whatever. You got to set it. You got to set it because it helps set the stage for expectations. Disappointment only comes when there's an expectation not met. But if you never set clear expectations, then you can't blame the people and you can't blame it. So any new relationship you go into, set the expectations. I got somebody mad at me now because I gave a lot of access and I already told them I cannot respond to every single thing. I cannot give every single thing. And I can tell they feel some kind of way because they're not getting the response they want from me. But I've already made it clear. I don't pastor one person. I don't lead one person. I'm not in a relationship with one person. And I have to be a good steward over my time, my energy, all that. Even like now, as I said, and this is why you have to set boundaries too. Do not let people milk you dry. You're still a mother. You're still a human. You get tired. Honestly, y'all, and please pray for me. I am exhausted right now. This is the most exhausted I've been in a very, very long time. And I'm only sharing it because I like being transparent with you all. Because people look at social media and things and think I'm a bank. They think I'm all these things and have no idea all that I'm juggling, just as you are as a mother, a wife, a father, whatever. So again, set your boundaries from the get-go. So when you're in this pure gold season, just again, to catch up those that just came on, we've been talking about the pure gold season as being a season of, blessing, increase, opportunity. But people who are currently in your circle, they might not be able to go to that season with you. And you cannot get caught up in the pain of what's being lost. You got to just shift and show up as yourself, emotional and all, weary and all in the new season. Because in the new season, the people you need to walk with you will be there. If it's a new job, They will be there, but you got to show up. We talked about the winter. We talked about the fall and the spring. Winter is going to winter with or without you. Summer is going to summer with or without you. It is your job to put on the right garments to acquiesce to the season that God has declared that you're in. It is not the season's job to acquiesce to you. It could be in some context, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Like how, I ain't gonna get to that. But understand, no matter what, church hurt, relationship hurt, disappointment, there is nothing wrong with God. There is nothing wrong with God's kingdom. There is nothing wrong with God's church. And God needs you. Don't let the disappointment of what other people are doing throw you off. You cannot do that. God still needs you. You are his voice print in the earth. You are his mouthpiece in the earth. And it might not be to preach. It could be a hug. It could be a book. It could be a message. Whatever it is, just show up. Just like today, and this keeps happening. I came on here this morning with absolutely nothing to say. And I said, I'm just going to get on and pray. And here we are. I'm teaching almost 40 minutes in all over again, because God will enable you to speak life into those who you are to cover. He will enable you to have a moment of community. Literally, y'all, I struggle with that because sometimes I'm like, I don't feel good. Should I take a day and just cancel? But then all that crosses my mind is, I wonder what they're going through. I wonder what's on their heart. I wonder how their week went. And not that it's me, but like if God says something to me for you, I don't want to rob you of your moment. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to bed. I'm going to set my alarm. Depending on how I feel, we going to go and just go. So again, I just want to encourage you all, no matter what, show up. No matter what's happening, show up. No matter who can go or not go, show up. The blessing of the pure gold season is all the opportunities, but the part that can seem indifferent is the losses. There will be losses, and it's going to probably hurt your feelings, but that's what happens. Let me make it as even more simple as possible. When you graduate high school and you go to college, you might be going to a college in another state, in another country. You're happy because now you're getting another level of education, but you're sad because the people you grew up with over the last however many years, you're no longer with them. That's what promotion looks like. Everybody can't go, and it doesn't make them bad. It just means now God is elevating you to your geospecific assignment that might not be the same assignment as your bloodline or your coworker or who you went to school with. I never forget, there was a ministry I was working with at the time, and we were at one of these big old conferences, and the whole team was together. And again, y'all know me. I love to hang out with everybody. And there was one particular night at the conference where it wasn't just general access, everyone sit together. If you were a man or woman of clergy, you had to wear your collar. And they separated the seating for the clergymen and the regular attendees. Well, in that moment, genuinely, y'all, I felt so sad. And my leaders and then at the time were looking at me like, why are you looking so sad? And it was because although I love my leaders, I also love the people, and I did not want to sit with them. I want us all to sit together. It's something simple, but it really made me sad. And I was like, I want to sit with y'all though. But it reminded me that as much as I want everybody can't always go. And it literally, and I'm praying through that because I don't know if it's something to pray away or not, as a pastor's heart, but not even just that, as a person, as a human, that stuff breaks my heart. My heart gets broken when I can't help somebody. My heart gets broken when I have to tell people no. I don't want to do it, but I have to sometimes. And it really, like, my friends, because I'll confide in some folks, and they'll be like, that thing's really bothering you. It's not a big deal. It's like, it is a big deal. But anywho, I just say all that to say, y'all, don't let those natural feelings, though, throw you off. When God elevates you and he shifts you, show up. No matter who you thought was going to go with you and they can't, show up. When Judas betrayed Jesus, the other disciples still had to show up. That was their brother. They communed together. They did life together. And someone in their small tribe betrayed Jesus. They still had to show up. Jesus died. They still had to show up and spread the gospel. They could have easily said, you Pharisees and people and leaders of this time, how could you do that to him? We don't like y'all. We're going to throw this thing over. No, they knew that they killed the voice, Jesus, but they had faith enough to know that he still was alive in the realm of the spirit. And they still showed up to spread the gospel in his absence. Same thing with Dr. Martin Luther King. He was assassinated, but his daughter, Bernice King, Dexter King, who just passed away, may he rest in peace, Yolanda King, and the other people in the family, they rose up. Coretta Scott King. That's why you'll always hear Bernice King say, when you think about my father, think about my mother, because there would be no Martin Luther King Day or no King Center if Coretta Scott King didn't pick up the mantle that Dr. King left and build the King Center and keep that thing going. Show up. This woman lost her husband. This woman lost her baby's father. This woman lost her heart, and she still had to show up. And because of that, it's now a national holiday. Can you imagine what God will do in your country, in your life, in your family, if you just show up? She lost her husband, her heart, and yet we have a national holiday now because of her. We have the King Center because of her. And every year, so many people go to Ebenezer Baptist Church here in Atlanta and watch across the world. Beyond just civil rights, I'm just saying this for an example. In Atlanta, Georgia, that museum is like one of the only museums, literally even in the world, that has the majority of all the natural artifacts. Nothing there is a duplicate. It's the actual house. It's the actual documents. It's the actual tools that he wrote with and used. You don't find it everywhere else. So again, I'm just sharing that to say, no matter who comes, no matter who goes, no matter what happens, as God elevates you, show up, show up, show up. Amen. So our Father God, we bless you today and we honor you today. And I just want to take a moment just to speak into your people to encourage them that when they are feeling weak, that your divine hand of strength would strengthen their mind, strengthen their psychological perspective, strengthen their health, strengthen their immune system, strengthen their passion, strengthen their goals. In fact, strengthen their desire of you. When they see folks in the church house and different folks who are giving you a bad reputation, for lack of a better phrase, let it ignite them to say, I'm going to show up and be a true voice. I'm going to show up and be a true leader. I'm going to show up in whatever my industry is and represent you well. I'm going to have your back. I'm not going to throw in the towel to give up, but I'm going to have your back and show up regardless. I'm going to be there for my family. I'm going to be there for my kids. I'm going to be there on my job and be your voice print here in the earth. Father, I decree and declare that if anyone is on here, just like myself, who's not feeling too well, that you would heal them, that you would cover them from whatever ailment is happening in our world. If it's another strand of COVID that's going on or whatever is happening, God, cover your people. We decree and declare a prophetic Goshen over them, which means in the midst of when Moses and the plagues were hitting Egypt, you hid your people in a place called Goshen where they were protected and not having to worry about the plagues that hit the city. So, Father, whatever plague hits our world and our cities, keep us in a prophetic Goshen where we're covered in Jesus' name. Continue to give us healing and hope and strength to connect with new people as we enter this pure gold season and have like-minded people to walk with us as it relates to our assignments. And Father, I decree and declare that the hearts of your people will be healed for those that are dealing with heartbreak because of the ending of a relationship, the ending of a job, the ending of a ministry collaboration, whatever it is that is justifiably a reason to cause hurt. Give them strength even in that hurt. Let them stand firm on your word. Let them be confident in your word. Let them be confident in you. And Father, we give you all the glory and the honor that is due your name. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the beginning and the end. You are the first and the last. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing off with you. We will stand and we will operate as the kings and the priests, the queens, the leaders that you have called and designed us to be. It is so in Jesus' name. Whatever's not mentioned, God, of course, you are the greatest intercessor. So intercede on their behalf. We give you the glory. We give you the honor. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Listen, y'all, if anyone wants to share any thoughts of what we just discussed or just whatever, you can unmute for a minute because once we log off, I'm taking more meds and going back to bed. Yes, thank you, StratijeeLHE, for the giving. If you want to sow a seed, you can sow a seed. But again, y'all, I always tell y'all, thank y'all for being here. And please keep in your mind, I want you to really understand that what God is doing with this group, it's what this is the intent of what God's church is. But I don't want you to think about this as what the church has become, because this isn't that. This is the strategy you need to go back into the world. All of us here have jobs, have careers, and have things that we do in the world. And so when we come together, it's to get the strategy that we need to go back into the world and show up as our anointed, called self. Not necessarily be a preacher. If you're called to preach, great. But if you're not, it could be a hug. The greatest message you might ever preach is hugging someone who's going through a breakdown. The greatest message you can ever preach is giving a smile to someone in need, giving a compliment. But the other thing I want to urge you to, and I don't know if this is a part of this season, but you've got to set healthy boundaries, because what's going to happen is people are going to be so attracted to your light. They're going to be so attracted to your heart. They're going to be so attracted to you because of the God in you and the aroma that comes off of you, that they're going to start trying to look at you like God. And it is your responsibility. That's why there's part of this drama going on. It is your responsibility to remind them you are not God. And I said that to you. Y'all know, but I'm saying it again. I am not God. And the moment I'm talking and it don't sound like God, go away. Don't listen to me. I am not God. My job is to lead you to God. My job as a pastor is, and I'm just going to say this to be honest too, it's about setting boundaries. It's great if a church and a ministry can show up for you at a funeral or pay a light bill and different things. But biblically speaking, that is not a pastor's job. It's not. If you're in a position to do so, you can. But I just want to say that this goes back to setting expectations. It is a pastor's job to lead you in the direction you should go to get certain things done, right? But I just want to share that, because as you love on people in your workplace, as you love on people in the community, they're going to be attracted to you. And you do not want to have them in a space where they're so gung-ho to you that the moment you don't pick up the phone, they're now mad at you. Or the moment you're not able to do whatever, they're mad. No, you're still a mother. Your first assignment is your husband and your kids. Your first assignment is your well-being. You can't, just like they said at the airport, on the plane, before you put a mask on somebody else, put the mask on you. You cannot give people what you don't have. Don't you dare take your money for your rent or your mortgage because someone who mismanaged their stuff needs money. I'm telling you, don't do it. Unless God tells you to do that, that's when you and God. Don't do it, because you have to be a good steward. It is not anyone's fault that someone else mismanaged their stuff and want you to bail them out. You cannot do that. So I'm only sharing that to say, as God uses you in your sphere of influence, do not let people become codependent upon you. Send them back to Jesus. And if God says extend financial help, if God says show up to the funeral or whatever, if God says do whatever, then let God lead you. But even let them know that was this time that God told me. But do not open that door where they think it's a continuous thing, because that then creates an avenue for unrealistic church hurt, drama, and things of that sort, because he didn't this. No. What now let's reverse it. And I hope this is helping. I'm just trying to give context, because there's a lot of misconceptions with stuff. If my money's acting funny, what do I look like calling Liberty saying, hey, I need some money to pay my bills? I don't get to do that. Now, I'm not saying she wouldn't if I did, but that's not her obligation. Bessie, Shalay, Nadine, Anthony, it's none of y'all's responsibility. Even when it comes to this ministry, I've told y'all, if you want to sow a seed and pay your tithe and offering here, or put a donation because something blessed you, that is your decision. But if you don't, this is my assignment. And it's my job to make sure that things are in place to make sure this thing stands. Would it be helpful? Yeah. But if you don't, it's all good, because this is my assignment. And even then, you won't hear most pastors say that. They will try to manipulate you into saying, you got to do this. Is it a biblical principle? Yes. But it doesn't mean I can manipulate you to do it. No, that's not how that works. Just like a doctor's office. You know you should go get a checkup. But if you don't do it, that's on you. Here's the doctor. Here's your primary care person. Here's your insurance. Do with it what you will. If you go, you go. If you don't, you don't. But in knowing the principles, all that is up to you. You're a human being. You are nobody's child. You are nobody's mistress. You're not to be pimped. You're not to be manipulated. You are a grown adult. Like Dr. Trump told me, you are a grown man. Grown. All right, I digress, but I just want to say that as you continue to operate in your field, in your industry, people will be attracted to you because the God in you is different. You're going to look different. You're going to walk different. You might not see it, but they will. But don't let them get so caught up in you. Refer them back to the kingdom and let them know where the strength comes from. Aaliyah, I see your hand. Talk to me. Good
Hi.
morning.
Honestly, good morning. I glad that I came on um to this message today when you said, I think I came on when you said show up,
Yeah,
just show up. And I think I really needed to hear that because I had a week and a half and I needed to be reminded that I need to show up despite everything. And I
yeah.
guess it's just my own internal feelings
Mm-hmm.
that is preventing me from showing up at times. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still dealing with that. And um, I don't know, like I woke up this morning and I was like, God, I don't know how much more
Mm-hmm.
I gotta do, but I feel like I'm doing all the right things, right? And there's still things that I believe that I want,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, God, how much more do I have to do right?
Yep.
Because like I'm literally doing every single thing. And up to the other day I was asking God, I was like, yo, I'm literally following your words, doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you were able to bless me since I was 18 years old. I've been selling bras to women. I've been selling laundry. And I was like, God, it's my purpose on earth to sell laundry to people, to sell women bra. Like, I think that there's something else in life that I need to do. Like, please, um, help me to see because like I feel I'm in a place where I'm doing all the right things and then I see people doing other stuff and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, do I really need to do all these right things?
Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. And in fact, I've said the same thing this week. And that's why I'm saying I feel like this is why I love this. And this is why we got to communicate because it shows us that even though we're in our own spheres of influence and professions, we're more connected than y'all realize, or you do realize. And right, there's times if I'm honest, as a preacher, as a human, as a coach, whatever, and I'm seeing the stuff with certain people, and I'm like, God, I know I'm living right. I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm taking time to be in your word and do this and do that. And it's like these people who are just doing downright blatant, disgusting, manipulative stuff seem to be excelling. They got their stuff to like it, yeah, that's a real feeling. It's a real feeling. And that's why, like I said, it's like, but God is like, show up. Show up. Look at Jesus. All his life he was being trained. And it was for what was it, 3 years that his actual ministry happened before he had to die. But it took all those years to build him up to the 3 years of his impact. And now in death, physical death, years of impact that are still to come. Again, that's why I relate to Martin Luther King. Same thing. And I'm not saying that's going to be everybody's story. But when you have a true calling on your life, it tends to take longer. It does. There's some people that it might seem like there's excelling, but they don't have any character. They don't have any morals and values. They don't have anything. They wind up committing suicide and other things happen because they manipulated their way into greatness versus allowing God to elevate them. I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to share that because that's the plight of being called for real. That's the burden and the weight of being called for real. When you're called for real, it seems to take longer. It's like, how come I can't save money? How come this keeps happening? How come they keep attacking me? How come this keeps happening? Because when you are truly an answer to a problem, demonic forces don't want you to be revealed and help. Yeah. And
Right.
that's the truth of the matter.
Right. I was asking God, I was like, it's literally the same thing that you just said. I was like, God, how much more preparation do I need? Because I don't understand. Like, I wanted to attend the master class yesterday, but like
Mm-hmm.
I said, I had my own internal stuff to deal with. And
Yeah.
I feel it was like something just came at me just to prevent me from attending it
Mm-hmm.
because I literally started writing a book since 2022.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, every time I read, I don't think I'm the person writing it. And
Yeah.
every time I read, like I was reading to a passage to my friend um, about 3 days ago, and she was like, Aaliyah, you need to write a book. And everybody has been telling me, you need to write a
Mhm.
book because you're so good with words.
Yes.
And
Yes.
every time I speak, people, especially if it's at a conference, people be like, oh my gosh, who are you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. But I
Yeah.
have this thing that I need to get rid of sometimes that tells me to nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
Yep.
You
Trick
should
the trick of
just
the enemy. Yeah. Yeah.
you should just shut up because who wants to hear that?
Yep.
But when I let things out, people be like, whoa.
Exactly. And that's how you know when those thoughts come, that is your sign. That's like I was saying earlier when I said when local rejects you, it's your divine announcement to international. So when those lies come to your head, it's your divine announcement that you actually have something of quality and substance to say. And I want to let Nadine speak to this, if you will, for those that weren't able to be on the masterclass, because a lot of people purchased it to get the replay. And I'll get it out. I just have, like I said, after yesterday and all that, I got to get myself together. Um, but it'll still be available. Just if you want to use the for anybody that wants it, you can use the Square link. Just pay the 25 and I'll release the link to you. But I'll let Nadine speak to this if she doesn't mind. Um, because yesterday, honestly, out of all the times I've taught that class, we were on for like 2 hours and 30 minutes of literally telling you how to tell stories, telling you the genres, giving you the tools to even use artificial intelligence to speak into your phone and type for you. But it was just a lot of great content that I think will help all of you, whether you feel like you should write a book or not. And it wasn't just for authorship, it's writing out content for your podcast, writing out sermons, writing out messages, talks like TED Talks, writing out whatever it is. But I'm going to keep it available for those that weren't able to get to it. Because I understand that. I already know. Aaliyah, you already know, because what was crazy is you had emailed me because the system shut down registration and didn't let people register for a while. And I had no idea that it shut it down. So I had to reopen it. A lot of weird stuff started happening. But see, here's why. Because when I start doing that stuff, I'm not operating necessarily in pastor mode. I'm now giving you trade secrets and tools. We went through a whole list of tips from New York Times best-selling authors as to how they made their books go number one. We went through tips from global content creators and how they make their videos, how they come up with ideas, how they have their motion graphics. Like, it was really thorough and a lot of information. But yes, I just want to share that with you, that if you want it, it will still be available. I'll try to have it, if not sometime today, sometime tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be available for those who still want to get it and be on there. And then, like I said, was in that private link, you could drop any questions you have, and I'll try to answer. What I do ask, and I said this yesterday as well, is when you get it, please do not give it and share it with anybody who did not register, because that's not integral. That is intellectual property. Um, and yeah, I'm already not charging anything. I had several people inbox me and say, dude, you should be charging $150, $200 and stuff like that. And I just choose not to. Maybe it's hurting me. I don't know, but I just choose not to. But go ahead, Nadine. And thank you, Aaliyah, for sharing that. Thank you. You are right where you need to be. Keep showing up. Keep showing up.
Good morning, Pastor. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yes, yesterday was amazing. And to just hone off what you said regarding the Eventbrite link and everything, it was really weird because when I got the email, it said 10 a.m. PST, and I was like, okay, that's weird. I could have sworn Pastor L said 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yep.
And so I was up and ready, and then I closed my eyes, I opened them, and it was like a little after 10. I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know. My gut tells me just go in and see. And sure enough, you were talking, and I was like, oh my goodness. And when I saw the number of people on, I said, yeah, I said, people don't realize this is on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to say it in the chat or anything, like,
Yeah.
you know. But yesterday really opened my eyes to help me understand how simple creating content is and being able to say, okay, I'll just give an example. So, you know, you can write the bus is red once, but you can reuse that and say, well, the double decker bus is red. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole different thing. I know it sounds juvenile, the example I'm giving, but I'm just showing
Mm-hmm.
what I got from yesterday was that you can reuse your content just by changing up one or two words.
Yes. Yes.
And because I think I know for me, and I speak only for me, I had a lot of writer's block, a lot of just thinking, what do I say? What do I write?
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday when you did that bubble, you did the word, you did the circle around it.
That's it
Yep,
right there, y'all. If y'all see, yep.
yep. And then we elaborated. And just from elaborating, I started to do it at home. And before I knew it, my page was full.
Yes. Yes.
Like, oh my goodness. And the key that you said, the key word that just really hit home for me was descriptive. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think we realize how we can take a sentence and turn it into probably a good 10 or 20 different sentences
Mm-hmm.
that literally have say the same thing, but it's not a repetition of the same thing, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, right? And so, yeah, I really hope everybody here will get the link. It will really help you. It will open your eyes to how easy it is to really create content.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Just to elaborate on like what you said, like when she said like the bus is red. I think that's what you said. Right. We open that up to say, like she said, the double decker is red. The two-door red bus. Then you can break down what kind of red. Was it a maroon red? Was it a neon red? Was it all that stuff? It's super easy. And then like you see with this chart here, we talked about cooking. I had them throw out different things. The first one I think was creativity. Then we did cooking. And we said, what does cooking represent? It can represent family time. It can represent Thanksgiving, cooking for Thanksgiving. It can represent ingredients, barbecue, lemon pepper, all types of stuff that when you brainstorm it out, whatever your content is, it can be for the word of God. It can be for a random book. It can be a romance novel. It can be for a podcast. By the time you open it up, it will be easy to write a 50,000 word book or have content for days and you just spin it. But that's what it was about. But I just want you to chime in on that. Thank you for that, Nadine. Um, Anybody else have any questions, comments, thoughts before we wrap up today? No? All right. Hold on, make sure I'm in the comments. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, y'all. I love y'all. Same time next week we'll be here. Of course, please say a prayer for me as I am highly congested. I'm feeling a bit better this morning. I'm sure it's the Lord's doing. But I am about to lay it back down. I'll try to get this uploaded as soon as possible. And then, like I said, I'll make the replay link for yesterday available as well for those that register, and you'll get it via email, or what have you. Yep. But have a good day. Keep showing up. Don't be discouraged. Keep your feet planted 10 toes down. And as I always say, peace and chicken grease. Bye, y'all.